choose people who choose you. This is a mistake I made big time in early recovery and for most of my life really. And until recently, I've started to figure this out and realize, okay, I'm not gonna do this anymore. So in the past, I would choose people for relationships, for friendships that really weren't that interested in me. And they were kind of giving some clear signals, but I couldn't pick up on them. And because of that, I kept chasing and kept pursuing. I'm like, I'm gonna win them over, etc. The first girl I dated in high school, she rejected me for pretty much 2 to 3 years. And I kept pursuing, kept chasing. It wasn't a great behavior, and for certain, I'm never gonna do that again. However, once I did win them over, I realized like, okay, this isn't that great, for one. Two, they still couldn't really like commit to me because they really weren't into me in the beginning. So it just kind of became like an unpleasant relationship, an unpleasant experience. And looking back, if I was in that same situation now, I would have cut ties from the very beginning, say probably 4 years or so, which is absolutely nuts. But some other ways I did this too would be like with friendships. Like, you know, somebody I was close with once is maybe like starting to pull back a little bit. They're like showing signs that they're not really interested anymore in continuing a relationship. And I would be like, it would hurt. So I would like try to fight it and try to force the relationship to happen. And of course, it didn't work, and they kept, getting further away. And in the end, I would be left thinking quite low of myself because I just, gave all this energy, only gave all this time, was hoping this would work out, and it was a little bit embarrassing. So having gone through that multiple times and having experienced that much embarrassment, I'm like, okay, I'm sick and tired of feeling embarrassment over this, so I'm done doing this behavior. And some signs to tell that maybe somebody is not meant for you and they're kind of working their way out of your life is number one, that they are not showing up. So maybe they agree to do something, maybe they're texting you, yeah, let's hang out, etc. And when the time comes, they're either A, not available, they either don't show up. Sometimes that's happened where it's just like they just forget to come, and I'm like, wow, that really says a lot about how that person thinks about me. Or they cancel like last minute, like, oh, something came up, etc. And sometimes that is the truth. Like something does come up just, out of the blue, and they have to take care of it. And usually when this happens one time, I give a second chance, of course. There's something about offering grace to folks. And so I always do that. I say, okay, no worries, like it's happened, let's move forward. However, when it happens a second time, there's that saying, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me a third time, also shame on me, and then just more shame on me. So once it happens a second time, then I'm like, okay, then the red flags start to come up, and I'm like, this person might just be using me for some validation, for attention, etc. Friend or romantic interest. And the best thing I can do at this point is to just step back and choose another path. Go find someone that is available, or just take some time alone, etc. Because the last thing I want to do is pursue something again that doesn't want me. And it's a real, almost like a self-abuse to put oneself in that situation. Codependency is another word to look at it. And ultimately I find as soon as I let this go, one, I experience more peace, serenity, etc. And two, then usually someone else comes in my life that is a better fit. And every time I've done that, that's the pattern that happens. So the real red flags here to keep out for is that, are they showing up? Are they doing what they said they were going to do? Are they acting with integrity? If so, great. If not, well, then that's kind of your answer right there. So the people I have in my life right now are very available emotionally, physically. They show up when they say they're going to show up. They act with integrity. And that's something I really look for in relationships now. And I get to do the same now. And in turn, we have a very symbiotic relationship instead of either one person taking and one person giving, or vice versa. It's like we're both giving, and then we both get to take as well because we're both open to giving. So it's such a better relationship. Another thing I look out for is that, are we both enjoying it? Like, are we both having fun when we're spending time together, chatting, etc. If not, then again, another sign that maybe this isn't a great relationship. And I'll give an example. So there was this guy that I was spending time with, and not romantically, but he asked me to do something to help him out for his thing. I agreed, and he gave me the wrong time. So I show up the next day. No, he's obviously not there. And I messaged him, hey, are we still on? No, this isn't gonna happen because, oops, I gave you the wrong time. I'm like, all right, hey, oops, mistakes happen. Let's move on. So they asked me again to do the same thing, another similar thing, and I agreed, of course. I was excited. I planned my day around it, so I let other things go. I put energy, blocked out time for this. About an hour before, I confirmed, hey man, we still on? And they're like, oh, I already did it with someone else. And I'm like, ouch, that kind of hurts. Not only did they not tell me, but they didn't tell me, and I had to reach out to them to figure out if we're still gonna do this. I blocked off my afternoon for it, and it just didn't happen. So taking my own advice here, I should have walked at that point, but I said, okay, let's start from scratch. I'll give it another shot here. And so they asked again, would you believe this, right? Shame on me. And they said, hey, I want you to come do this. It would help me out. I agreed. And this time they just didn't show up. Like I messaged them, the time passed, and they said, oh man, I already did this. And then they responded after the time saying, oh, I already did this earlier. And I was like, wow, man, that's like so disappointing. And I sat with it for about a day, and I forgave them. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna hold on to this hot coal of anger because I'm only gonna get hurt. So I forgave them. However, I didn't forget. And I kind of started to separate, didn't really talk to them anymore. And then recently I parted ways with them in like a social media platform, and they reached out and they're like, yo, what's going on? And I told them, hey, this is what I experienced or whatever. And they got kind of defensive, and it was a little disappointing because it's like, and I told them like, hey, I'm not really interested in a relationship anymore because of this happening. I don't want to risk this happening again. I just straight up said that. And they got kind of defensive, kind of angry. They projected some blame towards me, and I was just like, you know what? This is just a sign that this is not meant to be, and that I made the right decision, because I don't want someone like that in my life. I don't want someone that uses me for that validation, for that attention, for that, I don't know, whatever reason they had. And then in turn, kind of flip it and say like, oh, it's my fault? It's like that. That's super narcissistic. And that is narcissism in a nutshell. And so I get the decision, I get to have the accountability to say, hey, I'm not gonna partake in this relationship anymore. I'm gonna move on, and I'm not gonna subjugate myself to this kind of behavior. And I feel a lot better because I did this. So comment down below if you've experienced something like this before, whether you've had difficulties parting ways, or you were very easily able to say, hey, I'm out here, I'm done. Either way, we're all growing on this journey. It's not easy to do because oftentimes close bonds can be made with these people, and it can hurt to let those go, even though all the signs are saying like, dude, like no more. So if you guys got value, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.